Would President Donald Trump really have absolute power in a second term? Hi, I'm Dr. David Adler, president of the Alturas Institute and a constitutional scholar. Let's talk about it. Donald Trump has already claimed that as president he possesses absolute power. The reality is that that claim cannot stand, not by any conventional measurement that we use to address constitutional assertions of power. Indeed, the framers of the Constitution, who were very careful draftsmen, were at pains to parcel out the powers granted to the presidency very carefully and articulated those powers in a meticulous manner precisely so that everybody could understand the full scope of presidential power. Not only the occupant of the White House, but most importantly, the American people could point to Article 2 to identify the particular powers that were vested in the presidency. And this entire effort to carefully enumerate, that is, spell out the powers granted to the president, would be a waste if in fact the president possessed awesome absolute power. There'd be no need to parcel out powers for a president who possessed absolute power. So Donald Trump's claim fails on the basis of the textual examination of Article 2 of the Constitution, which is the executive article. More importantly, that assertion of absolute power rings false in a constitutionally limited government where all governmental power is limited and carefully spelled out, not only the powers to the president, by the way, but to Congress and the judiciary, of course. And if indeed a president possessed absolute power, that would rank as a recreation of a monarchy on American soil, which simply would not have happened in our nation in 1787, given the framers' keen understanding of history about the abuse of power by executives, given their own understanding of the abuse of power by King George III, under whom they suffered and consequently revolted against in the Declaration of Independence, and our own history, which was committed to the idea that the American people would have a right to create a constitution, spelling out the powers that were important to them, granting to the government only those powers that they thought reflected Republican values. And in the Constitutional Convention, James Wilson of Pennsylvania said, "The prerogative powers of the King of England are of no moment to us here as we draft the Constitution. We want to subordinate a president to the rule of law." A president who would possess absolute power would be a president who could run amok, make hash of constitutional government, crush the rule of law, deny judicial independence, render Congress subservient, and also, of course, trash the Bill of Rights. So that's a preposterous claim. But as we think about how preposterous it is, let's focus more closely on the fact that he means it. That's the language of the authoritarians so widely used in the 1930s and 1940s in Europe, and unfortunately it rhymes with his recent talks. And that's what makes him a real menace to American constitutionalism. So the most important thing we can do as students of the Constitution, as citizens committed to the maintenance of the Republic, is to remind ourselves that in America, the Constitution is the law of the land. No governmental officer has authority to leap beyond the Constitution, that indeed every governmental official, including the president, has only limited powers, and those are derived solely from the Constitution. I'm Dr. David Adler with the Alturas Institute. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.